what's up, guys? Christian Van Buren here, co-founder of Ripple Effect Fatherhood. And I'm sitting here today with my barber, right? And it's actually a crazy story on how we met and how we've gotten this far. We'll save that story for another time because you guys already know we're here to talk about fatherhood. And my barber, he has a great testimony and story on his experience with fatherhood that I think would bless anybody who listens to it. Without further ado, if you want to introduce yourself, brother.
I'm Eloy Rodriguez. I'm the owner of Loyalty's Barbershop here in Taylor, Texas. And man, I'm just here to represent myself, and for any father that needs any help or any guidance, or just any new father, anyone that's even going through troubles right now, man, I'm just trying to give any advice, and hopefully, my story, my son's story, collectively can do something and really change someone's life, and just maybe guide, and just point in the right direction, and give hope as well, and just to, all in all help fathers.
Yes.
Today, man. Yeah.
Man, I love it. I love it. My man Eloy here. We've had a lot of great conversation. I've got the opportunity and privilege to know about him and his family and his story. So I'm excited to ask him some questions. Like you guys have already become familiar with, I take notes because at the very least, I'm going to be blessed by this. I'm going to do my best to apply the lessons and wisdom that I get to my own experience of fatherhood. So I'm excited. So
yeah, me too, bro.
Yeah,
I'm glad we can do this, man. We've been talking about it, and
yeah,
some will pop up, but God is always on time, is what we say, right?
Yes.
So it's time, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Sam, Eloy, let me ask you. So initially, you're sitting down with somebody who's about to be a father for the first time, right? So maybe it'd be me, Christian Van Buren, July of 2021, right before my son was born. How would you describe being a father to somebody who's about to step into fatherhood for the first time?
Initially, I guess the first thing I would think is just like how much of a blessing it is to be a father, because I think the main thing as a kid, not having a father, the main thing was, I was always telling myself, that I was good. I'm good. I got this. But no matter how strong or what you are, a kid needs that father, So in my mind, it was always a blessing if I could ever be a father, and it ended up being that, actually, pulling me out of any mess that I thought that was important. It helped get the priorities straight immediately, about, what matters more, and stuff like that. But I think that's the main thing I would tell somebody. That's a blessing. And I know as young, we're taught it can be a burden immediately, right? And like, it's too early, or it's not time. And that's where, we're talking about aborting babies and stuff like that. So it's like, what I believe is that, that's against anything that I believe. So for it to happen at, any time, and it's still a blessing. And, it can be a blessing in disguise where you're supposed to die in 5 years, and the kid, your life started to matter once you realize that, you're having something that you're going to be a parent of. All of a sudden, someone with a great heart is going to immediately, or, that wants just to be there is going to, the priorities start flipping.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
yes,
it can be down not only a blessing, but saving your life. It's literally saving your life. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, it was saving. It saved my life for real. I was supposed to be in a casket or behind bars, you know what I mean? And nah, the kids looking at me and like, you know what I'm saying? They were like, it was easy to tell what's more important, because the kids, bro, like, they're the ones that's gonna love you unconditionally until, no matter what.
yes.
You got a diaper on, you're crapping your pants. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're still gonna love you unconditionally. So that's really gang, right?
Yeah.
That's gang. That's who's down forever. When people be talking about, so that's gang to me, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? All that other stuff is lame. You know what I mean? It's really lame, man. A smart dude would call it dumb. To me, you know what I mean? Come on, man. I heard to have someone else maybe raising your child. You know, I don't know everybody's circumstances, and I'm not trying to offend no one, but it's like for sure it should have something where you want to pursue that no matter what the circumstances are. So it's a blessing in disguise for sure.
Man,
for some, but if you can accept what God's trying to do, it's really what's supposed to be happening. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be happening. It's almost confirmation, like, hey man, look at this, what's going on over here.
Yeah.
You know, focus on this, you know. And God doesn't make it that hard, man. That low-hanging fruit is what I always say. It's gonna be right in front of you as long as you just focus on your life, not someone else's, you know. We talked about Ruth, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Gleaning, looking at someone else's field and stuff like that. So like once you understand that everything is here and they didn't pick up what you need, it's easy to see that, you know, when God puts it in front of you as big as you having a child, it's a blessing for sure. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Yeah, bro.
Look, let me tell y'all this, right? I'm not gonna say too much, and I told you this when we started because, like, that was, first of all, I like how you started out by saying it's a blessing.
Yeah.
And then everything that you talked about at the very end there, you brought it like you went full circle, right? And you came back to the fact that it's a blessing. Some of the big things that I got from what you just said was one, that some people may think of it as a burden, right? And I wrote that here. I wrote burden, I circled it, and I put a cross. I crossed it off because that's something that I've talked about recently, is that like in some cases it may be a societal norm for people to say, you're about to be a parent or you're about to be a dad. Say goodbye to your free time, or say goodbye to your sleep, or say goodbye to right. And so I love that you brought that up. No offense to people who have said that, but and they probably don't mean any harm. But what that does up here, and what we're trying to change here with fatherhood, is that stigma. You know what I'm saying? Especially behind fatherhood, that it's not a burden, it's a blessing.
It is. Wow.
Man.
That's next level, bro.
And then on top of that, you talked about how it saves your life. And recently, something that we posted on one of our social media pages was that as fathers, especially men of God, whenever you become a father, that doesn't mean that your spiritual growth, your spiritual journey, your pursuit of closeness with God comes to a stop. Like you actually, and like you talked about, like you have to, it changes your priorities.
That's right.
And you have to kind of worry more about yourself, and you got to make sure you're right even more.
That's right.
For the sake of that child.
It's like you're being saved on the cool, even if you don't want to. Your heart's gonna be full, you know. And it's down to the spirituality, man. That mustard seed is planted in, you know, even in the non-believers. It says in scripture, and it's like you read the living word. Your flesh and bone might not be ready for it, but that spiritual living word, breathing word, it flipped that string, and you're like, what was that? And you know what I mean? That's it, man. It's that spiritual, you know what I mean? That's what it is about, you know. And I just tried to know, like, once I figured it out, man, my kids, I'm looking at them, and it's like, it's making me be so fulfilled with like joy, you know. And it's like, I don't want nothing else, man. You know what I mean? I want the joy in my life, you know what I mean? And nothing else, because no matter what I've tried in the past with my plan or whatever, bro, it always ends up me being not who I'm supposed to be. I feel, you know, anxiety, depression, or just something creeping in where I'm fighting for my life, fighting for myself. And it's like, if you understand the word, you're supposed to be the head of household, and if you're not okay, I mean, everything below you is not okay. So it's like you said, man, you're gonna start checking on yourself. You got your kids walking around, and you got your head hanging. You know what I mean? And it's like, nah, man, the kids are gonna be that. You know what I mean? You don't want that because you've been through that yourself. You know what I mean? You're not gonna want the kids. So just like, for sure, man, the heart is where, you know, starts to change. And same thing with your spiritual walk, man. Your heart's gonna soften up, and then you're gonna start having the people in your life that you didn't care about because you're looking at your destination. You're gonna start realizing God's putting them in your life for reasons to give you your blessings through. So, man, the heart thing is major. So imagine the kid doing the same thing for your spiritual. You know what I mean? It's all in the family, love and that. Absolutely. Sure.
Hey, that's powerful. Cause I took some more notes, but we could stay on this first. We could just do the whole interview on this first question. You know what I'm saying?
Whatever you want to do.
But I tell you what, something huge that really spoke to me, right? I want you to know that it blessed me. Was you talked about how you should pursue that, and you're talking about fatherhood, pursue that no matter what. You should want to pursue that no matter what. That feeling of being a father, that feeling of being present, that feeling of joy.
Right.
Like, and you related it to, having, someone else raise your kids or whatever the case may be.
And a lot of people is different.
Right. But in that case, honestly, for me, and for the people listening, I mean, at the end of the day, what we want is that positive presence. So regardless of your circumstance, unless you are no longer on this earth breathing,
right, that
pursuit of being a father, I think it's something that we should all be chasing after, or that is the chase, that is the pursuit.
That is it. And honestly, if you've convinced yourself otherwise, you know what I'm saying, something's got to be out of whack. It's got to be, because you are that child's father, and it's not like we're here a million years. I always pray about my kids, man. And I remember I've told you before, I've been sick to my stomach, just fearful of what can come in the future for them. And if I'm going to be there for their talks, my kid comes home, he doesn't feel like work, like it's worth it one day. And, I'm just not there to tell him, what I need to tell him. And it's just like, this fear started building up in my heart about his future and stuff like that. And I finally just gave it away to God and prayed on it. And finally, God kind of tells me like, hey, well, is it your kid or those my kids? You know what I mean? I've told you that before. Like, and, that's how God talks to me. He offends me, kind of in prayer, because I got to be offended. I've been called, hard-headed, but I've also been called determined, bro.
Yeah.
I've also been called focused.
Yeah.
Same thing as like fighting as a kid.
Yeah.
They call me violent.
Yeah.
But, now it's just like, I'm stand up, I'm stand up on what I believe in, all these things, playing the video games, you know what I mean? End up being, all these things that just end up being something else on the other end. It would be that it was always something else that was in me living that was strong, that, if I would have turned away from, it probably would have just been me just almost turning off what God was telling me, to pursue and stay down with. So I just know that when it comes to me trying to stay focused on being a dad, it's always going to end up when it's like you said, when it comes to figuring out what was missing and what I was good at. Yeah. That's going to be the main thing of holding on and focusing, and not always, what I'm saying, letting something come in and change, like parenting fear, putting that on the kid. So that's what I would do, the fear of the kid. So it's like, if I can focus on not putting the fear on my kid as well, and like I said, going back to the prayer of God, when he took it out of my heart, it was me trying to say, like, I need the fear out of my heart. You know what I mean? So it was like what it was when I prayed to him. He was like, it's not your fight, it's mine. Those are my children. You know what I mean? And he was like, you're only on the planet this long to be his dad. You know what I mean? So to focus on your time is the easiest thing for you to do. You know what I mean? So if you're, like I said, I would be fearful immediately because I wouldn't be there for my son. He was like, how can you be fearful when, and don't be fearful. It says in the Bible, don't be fearful, but he pulled all the fear out, saying that I have these plans for him, where he has to choose me. His free will, he kind of has to choose me, where it's like, how is he going to fast forward? How are you going to fast forward that plan when he has to choose me when he's 14 or when he's 12? He has to lean on his faith in me. Yeah. He's 4 years old. Example, I just go to a quick example because I'm struggling trying to get it out. But it's like, I remember him telling me, like, Elijah, my son, is going down a slide and he busts his knee up. Yeah. He's going to come to me like, Dad, my knee, my knee. Yeah. And the first thing as a dad, what do you say? I told you not to go down that slide. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I told you not to go down that slide. And, you know, God was almost saying like, well, you should listen to your son first. Like, be in the present day. So that means like being present. So that means if you think about the future, it's like anxiety, the past, kind of depression.
Yeah.
So I'm over here worried about the future, you know, nervous that he's gonna, you know, trying to inflict that lesson.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna learn that lesson at 6. He's gonna go down there, he's gonna break his collarbone or something, you know, but he has to lean on his faith decisions later. So instead of being there, you know, I mean, not being there, like being there in the flesh, but really my mind somewhere else trying to get him to learn something. Now, instead when he asks for his knee, I'm tending to his knee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm being there for him.
So
that I think that's the main thing when it comes to being like there, like now. You know, it put all the fear immediately out of my heart when he told me that.
yeah.
He poured in his peace. Remember, I told you that. It's like now that fear of, man, it's a burden to raising this child. No, man, it's like you don't have to be worried about the lessons. He's covered by the cloak. Like we prayed for you, Lars prayed for him, so he's covered by the cloak of righteousness. So he will always be protected. So you can let go of that fear of any future of your kids, because you know God has them, especially if you prayed for it and it's in your family, you pray for it, and that they will. You have to know that your kids need to be able to lean on God, because in the future when you're not there, you know, don't you want them to find the strength, you know what I mean? Have someone call you rather than just let the world seep in. You know what I mean? You got depression, anxiety, drugs, you know, guns, suicide, you got horrible things happening right now. You know what I mean? So it's like our kids are the ones, but not to ramble on, and I didn't need to miss that little piece right there, but the main thing is, you know, the fear was pulled out of my heart because I knew God has the lessons for them, and it's up to them to choose whether to lean on him or not in the future. And, you know,
man, and honestly, everything that you talked about with that piece right there was, because I'm a sponge. With every one of these interviews, I'm a sponge. So I'm just soaking it all in. You know what I'm saying? It may feel to you like you're like, if you feel like you're getting off track here. I mean, you can feel that way, but I'm getting all of it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So also, but everything that you talked about just now, in my mind, kind of creates this central idea that, like you said, the fear in you that maybe you won't be there to give your son these lessons, or
you know, be there for him in general.
Exactly, the Lord
moment.
Exactly, in that moment, right? You got to be there in that moment, because our days are already numbered.
You tell me that much, bro. This is how long you're his dad, you know, bleak existence. You don't have time to be here and there. Be present in the present day. The gift I gave you, your eyes opened up to this morning. I'm not done with you. Man. You know what I mean? So,
and honestly, another big piece of that too is, because you said, you know, the Lord told you, hey, those are my kids, and you got to trust me with them. And I just need you to do your part to help them, or to let them know that I'm here for them to choose, right? And also for a lot of fathers out there that are watching this, I think everything that you're saying, at least for me, if I'm a brand new father, it tells me that, hey, that gives me confidence that if I don't believe in myself to teach them these lessons, right? Because we got a lot of fathers who choose not to be there because they don't think they can do it, actually. Like, they don't trust themselves to do it. They didn't have a good example growing up, so they don't think they know how. But everything that you're saying right now is to let them know that you can trust God with it.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, you don't have to think that it's all on you. You can take that weight off your shoulders and put those weights at the feet of God.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's what you need to do. And honestly, there's no other way. It's fatherhood. Because look, bro, you would probably think that I guess if you meet me now, that I had a dad and stuff like that. I didn't have a father, bro. No pops. You know what I mean? Mom had me, got pregnant when she was 15 years old. So, you know, it was like nothing. You know, my uncles, they were there here and there, but some, you know, went to prison. You know, some, you know, fell to the bottle or drugs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So whatever they could do, they were there, you know, if they could. But it was like, there's a lot of things that I didn't have guidance for. And I learned through like, the streets and, just leaning immediately on God. And what's crazy is as a kid, me looking back now, God had me every step of the way. You know what I mean? Like every step. And it should be evident now that, I'm a successful dad and I'm able to do, it's all through God, all glory to God, because where were my examples?
Right.
Where was that? That's why, I gladly did this, bro.
Yeah.
To show, like you said, any person who feels like it's not in them, bro, it wasn't for sure, nowhere around me.
Mm-hmm.
I used all those things that I hated as a kid to make sure that I didn't do that as a parent. I was collectively those things as a kid and didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
Just like 4 years ago, I didn't know I would be a barber or own a barbershop or be an instructor. You know what I mean? I had no idea. There's another example of God working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
man, that's powerful. So, and just for everybody who didn't catch that, you're a father of four.
Yeah, I met my wife. She had a son. He was about 1.5. Thomas. I raised him. He's 14 now. And since then, I had 3 others with her: Elijah Lee, Aaliyah Marie, and Alea Rain. And yeah.
Father of 4, husband. You own your own barbershop, which is where we're at now, if y'all didn't notice. You have plans. The Lord has plans.
The Lord has plans for me, man. What looks like what's in front of me is that I'm eventually going to try to get a school going. It's looking like it's probably going to be a nonprofit thing, but we're just looking at that. And we're actually working on a studio here now. The studio's actually up and running now as of today, officially. I've been doing stuff on the side. We make country music out of here. We make Christian music out of here. We've recorded a couple podcasts out of here already, but, a Christian podcast, a music podcast. Sports podcast. So,
Nice.
There's gonna be slots available and stuff like that per hour and stuff. But I think the main thing is that God's doing something that's gonna help somebody who didn't have no opportunity in this area, whether it be music, barbering, anything. He's gonna use it for his good. And this barbershop, this is gonna be a stepping stone for what he's gonna do for God. And that's how his grace works, bro. My family gets blessed, all this just because we're humble enough to be used.
Amen.
And I can use all this, bro. And you know what? I know God's got it. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that's it. That's the main thing, man.
Well, that's powerful. And so let me ask you, because a lot of people don't know, I guess give us a little real quick brief on your youngest son, Elijah Lee, right? Whenever he was born, he had some medical conditions.
Yeah, he was pretty much born with like half a heart.
Okay.
And it's crazy diagnostics, like right vascular tricuspid, something crazy. But what's crazy is, man, we found out we were pregnant, and it was like, we're in Cedar Park living at the time. Thomas was going to a little small school. I was working, moving furniture and stuff. And, it was a blessing.
Yeah.
I was happy, you know what I mean? And, we were just so happy. And we went and got it checked. And initially, what they told us was, you have a great healthy baby.
Mm-hmm.
So that's was kind of like so surreal to me at the moment, because I was so worried about that. And I was worried. I was like, there's a lot of things they can do. So I was like, what do they do? It was like, they test the blood and stuff and see. So they did that, and he was good. Everything was fine. And I was so thankful, you know what I mean? And then she gets a call, I don't know, like 2 months later, or maybe like a month, not even a month or something. And they're just like, we made a mistake. Even then the enemy's working, trying to tell me like, see, told you this is you. And it was so surreal at the moment, because I didn't think something like this could happen to me.
Yeah.
So the enemy always strikes at a vulnerable moment right there for sure. when he had the chance to, he struck, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like,
he struck you here
yeah.
first, right?
Oh, absolutely, bro.
Yeah.
He told me, immediately, like, I told you this was you. You don't deserve,
Yeah.
all these things. But luckily, like you talked about, man, or like we talk about, the people that were around me, the community that was around me then, is the only way I would have survived and understood what I needed to pray and who I needed to, and stuff I needed to pray.
Yeah.
And like I told you, pray God's will be done at that moment, whether Elijah Lee was gonna live or not. That was the main thing I had to learn. But I didn't get to learn that until we were at the hospital. You know what I mean? So like, it was crazy. They told us, okay, they come back, the ultrasound, they're like, yeah, he's gonna have a heart defect, and they're trying to say it has something to do with, maybe the medications, but they said no, there's a chance that, kids are born with it. So now we know that he has it, so we go through the hospital and stuff like that, and they're telling us as soon as your wife's ready, he's gonna go immediately to surgery right after the moon. Your wife's gonna stay there, and you're gonna have to go with him. So boom, day comes, he's out. He has to immediately go into surgery, or he could pass away. So he does the open one, the first one, open heart. It's successful, but he's so tiny. You know what I mean? He has to be I forgot what it's called.
On the incubator?
Yeah, not the incubator.
Oh, okay.
It's down the breathing tube is down his throat. I forgot what it's called. They're gonna, but anyways, he had the breathing tube down his throat. You know what I mean? All the tubes in him. I mean, his legs were so small; they had to drill holes in his bones to get the blood. And I mean, an IV in there because his veins were so small. So he would do so much. And the first 18 months, he's on his back, and he doesn't know how to, breathe on his own, sit up on his own, talk, open his eyes, nothing. So they do the second one. The second one's a lot more complicated. We're going through all types of stuff. We even took him home at one point when they said he was okay. We had to bring him back. He started aspirating at home. Fluids coming in his mouth and stuff like that. It was like, so many times, man, it was like they're like, we don't know, and just still we stayed down, we prayed, we took him back, and by the grace of God, man, we stayed there 18 months, and he ended up pulling to the second one. We were going to take him home. So after the 18 months, when we're leaving, it wasn't over yet. They said every 6 months you're gonna have to bring him back and check his heart to be ready for the third one. Right. He only had to do 3 total of the procedure. I think it's called the Glenn procedure. So it's 3 open hearts, 2 in the last one. So it ended up being 5 years later, every 6 months. For 5 years, finally he was ready. He was 5 years old. So that was this past year, you know what I mean? And we had to tell him and stuff. And we went. He ended up going through it, recovered in a week. And now, man, you meet Elijah Lee. You met him. Yeah. You wouldn't know, man. Unless he gets like how he does. He shows up. He shows a scar. But like I said, the testimony down to the community that was around me and he was in there is why he's alive. You know what I mean? What we prayed about, the church, the moms that were going through it in there. There was moms going through it in there that were so spiritually anointed, man, that their child was going through major things and not worse. And we're able to let me know and make sure that when I pray that God's will be done in the situation. You know what I mean? And that's what, man, I'll never forget. Even whenever I start dwindling in my own faith nowadays, man, I just go look at my son's, he's sleeping, cracking, look at him in his lunch, remember his testimony, man, and everything we went through, and how God never forget what he did for us and how he carried us through that. And as long as we just trust it, Elijah will be safe.
Man, first off, what's your wife's name?
Lexy. We call Lexy. Her name's Eloy Rodriguez.
Okay.
Lexy,
all right. Lexy. Tell you what. So first off, shout out to all moms. Okay.
For sure, man.
But big shout. I mean, I don't even I couldn't imagine. Huge shout out to Lexy, right? Yeah. Because the story that you just told, right, was first off, she's carrying this baby. Y'all find out that you're pregnant. And you first hear everything's all good. And I'm just sitting here getting the chills because I couldn't imagine, obviously getting that phone. You said she got the phone call.
Oh, yeah.
So she got the phone call saying that they made a mistake. Now, the part that really got me was that you said she had to give birth to this baby. She gave birth to the baby
that she was carrying.
And
Yeah.
wasn't able to go whenever the baby had to go immediately to surgery, and basically
separated.
yes, and big shout out to you, because thank the Lord that He worked in your life the way He did, that you were there. You know what I'm saying? Despite what you experienced in your
Despite what I
own
was
life
going through at the moment.
and at that moment,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Thankfully you were there, but at the same time, I couldn't imagine like the strength that Lexy had to have in that moment, and that she probably still carries with her to this day because of the testimony,
Bro.
right? Like,
Absolutely.
that's, man.
Next level, brother. Stuff that I've seen her do, she doesn't even recognize it in herself sometimes. And, I just got to remind her sometimes. But it's like, it's almost like, because the world over it, the Bible is our reminder.
Yeah.
Even if we read things over and over and over,
Yeah.
Our flesh, we forget stuff. So, like, the church, man, the Tree of Life Church in Pflugerville is why we knew and why her strength comes from. Like, the sisterhood, the brotherhood that we have there, they were constantly praying for us by name every Sunday, mentioning it, everything he was going through, everything. And like, she had my mom, which introduced us to that church years ago. Around our mom was there every step of the way, and she had some friends there that she met there that now are friends, that are lifelong friends, because of the strength that they were giving her, and she was able to do. And you know what? There was times, bro, that I couldn't deal with it, bro.
Yeah.
There was one time they escorted me out to the hospital, man. Elijah's sitting there, man. He had aspirated. His body's green, dude. He's cold. His eyes right here, they're like orange, dark orange. I'm about to flip out. Like, everyone's so calm. I'm like, what's going on? He's not okay,
Yeah.
And it was just like moments like that where she endured, she stayed. Dude, she is now a nurse in her mind, bro. And when I tell you there's nurses were coming in, and experienced nurses, years, and she was correcting them. They would say something and she fixes it. On the board, she'll fix it. The machines are going off. She's letting them know all through the night, all through the day. You know what I mean? Like, this is how much she cared for her children.
Yeah.
That's how much she cared for her children, that she became a nurse, bro.
Yeah.
Literally. And it wasn't by choice or through book, literally absorbed everything. And it's like, imagine everything lifted off me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, whether I was there or not, she was going to do that, bro. She had next level strength, bro. You know what I mean? And it was for sure a blessing, man. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she was definitely weak. I was definitely weak, but she was definitely the strong one at the moment.
Yeah.
It was just a bare life. Come on, man. We can't do that.
They
do this. They do that. We can't. You know what I mean? So, mom, wife, bro, if you got them, bro, you better just
cherish.
It says in there, he who finds wife has found a good thing. You know what I mean? So you make sure that, man, if she's willing to bear your kids, man, you should sacrifice their body then, right? You shouldn't be looking nowhere else.
Right.
She bared yours, you know what I mean? Who are you to compare her? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But yeah, next level strength,
bro. Man, I had to. Everything else that you said, it's gonna resonate with everybody who watches this, and it's gonna bless them. But I had to point that out.
Absolutely.
I'm getting to a point where I can't even take notes because I'm listening, man. I want to, but at the same time, I can just rewatch this.
At the end of the day, it's up forever. It's gonna be up forever.
Exactly. It's the beauty of YouTube, man.
Yeah.
Man. So, and honestly, you answered a couple of my questions.
Sorry, bro.
And no, it's fine. Like in a good way, because I was gonna ask you about how your childhood experience contributed to your willingness to persevere, but you talked about how your bad experiences, you know what I mean, God was able to flip those, pivot those.
It's like how he works.
Yeah.
Everything bad will be turned good, bro.
Yeah.
The enemy conquers and destroys. God, he does it, man.
Yeah.
Unconditional love.
Yeah.
Grace, mercy, anything bad can be turned to good. And it's like, once you realize that, if your life was any harder, maybe it's that much of an anointed person you are. You know what I mean? It was so hard for you because at the end, God has so much for you to do. Your impact's going to be so greater. So when you're looking at someone, wow, they have it easy, you know, or wow, he's easily a father. He doesn't even do as much as me, and I'm not even looked up as a great father. Wow. I still get called a bad father, but I'm doing everything. Come on, man. You have to understand why you're going through this, because God's not going to put nothing in front of you that you can't handle, but he also turns everything bad good, man. So yeah, go through it. You know what I mean? I remember having a dream, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, man. I'm trying to get to God, you know? Yeah. I'm trying to go around the water, you know, around the fire, I'm trying to go up over it. And God's like, man, you better go straight through it. That's the only way to walk right through it. Yes. What you get at the other end is what Nip used to say. Nipsey Hussle, you ran the marathon, man. Yeah. Which means like you're gonna go through all that. So which means a marathon, you running, you're gonna fall, you running in front of everybody, you're gonna fall in front of everybody. Which means when you get up and tie your shoe, everybody's gonna see it. When you get sprinting again, everyone's saying when you cross the finish line, everyone's gonna see it. You know, he mentioned, you know, victory lap out here, guys. You know, what he's trying to say is run the marathon. Ruth, glean in your own marathon. So, you know, he said he had got arrested in the parking lot. In the same parking lot, he owned his business in eventually. You know what I mean? He owned the whole thing. Yeah. The same place they threw his face down and arrested him at for selling his t-shirts. The same place he fell. He was trying to tie his shoes. Right then and there, the marathon. So it's like anything that's hard, man, God wants you to know that you can lean on him and get through it and become who you want to be. It's funny how we all want to be somebody, but we can't look in the mirror. Right. Right. Just accept what God wants you to do. Yeah. You know, he wants you to be that, and it's not that hard. It's right in front of you. You know, you can always turn to just scripture and just read, man, and someone's gonna understand you, and we realize that piece of fruit was right in front of you. You grab it and eat it, and here you go. Now, next thing you know, everyone's gravitating towards you. You're focused on this, and you start becoming what God wants you. You know what I mean? Hey, yeah, man, bro. That's for sure, bro.
That's look. let me ask you, man. Because like I said, I mean, we can sit here and talk for hours. Because I could just feed off what you're saying and ask you more questions. But I don't want to take away from the people watching, right? So, how important is God's timing in relation to you as a father and your experience this far, right? So now Elijah Lee is 5, 6, 6 years old? 7?
Yeah, I think he just turned 7 in April 22nd.
Okay, so he's 7 now.
Oh, April 30th, my birthday, April 22nd.
Okay, got you. So okay, you just turned 7 in April. For those of y'all that are watching, and as far as timelines go, this was roughly 7 years ago that y'all were dealing with what you went through, but you had to go every 6 months for the first 5 years of his life. Elijah Lee, for those of you who are watching, is his youngest son who had the open heart surgery right out of the womb. And he had that one and then 2 more after. Yeah. So how important is God's timing in relation to Elijah Lee and your other kids? Like, just, you know, as far as like whatever speaks to you, as far as God's timing, how important is that in relation to you as a father and your experiences over the last, you know, how many years?
Yeah, I mean, his timing it's never wrong. You know, that's what I've noticed, that, you know, we think it's wrong, but it's your heart needing to learn patience. So he starts plucking away at that patience. You know what I mean? So it's the timing with the kids to me was everything. It saved our marriage. It saved, you know, everything. What I noticed today is like they blur everything when it comes to family. You know, they want to erase family. They want to turn, you know, a home into just a house. You know, they don't want family. You know, if anything, you know, they want split. They want separate family. You know, everything. And you know, it's just like they'll blur anything. You know, they're trying to blur gender lines. You know, they're blurring anything they can do. Youth will start watching the same movies and stuff. It's like, you know, and I just know that family is what it is. You know what I mean? It's what's going to keep growing. So timing when it comes to family is everything in mine, because when Elijah was born, I mean, it was just me, my wife, and Thomas. And at the moment, I was doing moving furniture. You know what I mean? And it was my plan. It was my plan, you know. And I remember always going for a destination. Like, okay, I need a certain amount of money, or I need, you know, a certain amount of people around me, a certain amount of trucks. So every day I'm going to work, I'm like, didn't care who I ran into, didn't care who I met. If you didn't have the money, and if we didn't have anything that's going towards a business, I didn't care about it. I didn't care if I stepped on your toes, disrespected you, bro. Come on, you're not, you know, you're not down with this. That's it. And you know, I was losing myself. You know, I was argumentative, fighting. You know, if I had to fire a guy or something, you know, it was like I fire you, then I talk to him like, hey, bro, you're playing with my money. I got these kids I need to feed. Why are you messing up my company on purpose? So like, let's handle that.
Right.
So I'm just out of there, not even myself. And you know, Elijah, then, you know, right then and there, you know, it's like everything got, like, we went back to the first question, prioritize, you know, about having kids, you know what I mean? It was a blessing. Right at the moment, it was a blessing. Right at the moment, because I would have went van lunch with the you know, or something, you know, something I'd known somebody that I got in tight with, and who knows, man, you end up harming somebody because of something, or you know, it's completely wrong. And after Elijah, I mean, the walk, I was already rubbing shoulders with people who have been walking with God for years, and they know just little things, you know, like, hey, man, put God first, man, before your wife, before your kids. Hello, you know, they've been on this thing. I'm like, you know, what's up? So I started walking, really walking. I call people that don't Luke, you know, the lukewarms.
Right.
And it's okay because we all, you know, we all dwindle.
Right.
You know, we all fall short.
Yeah.
So when I say Luke, I'm just reminding those people like, hey, man, don't forget that spiritual walk. Don't turn religious, man. Don't start trying to convince people to do stuff. Just know that we're here to help as God walks. You know, we're helping the people who need it, widows, you know, alcoholics, the people who really need it. You know what I mean? But it was definitely a blessing, man. And the timing, like I said, it's like life or death, right? You know, so when you can notice God's timing, you start understanding that He's never late or never too early. Then you start to slow down and be still. And it's in the Bible, man, right there. It says be still. So if you can be still, you're gonna see the low-hanging fruit.
Yes.
And what God has for you, not your partner, or you know, not your buddy. I mean, even not your enemy, man. That's for you. Yes, for you. And what you can just accept what He got for you, your little heart that you think could never be filled, it's gonna be overfull, it's gonna bust, it's gonna change, and that tunnel vision that you thought you had, no, man, it's really who God put in your life to make you what you wanted to be. And now it's like when I met you, bro, if you would have met me as a moving company dude, like, I wouldn't be doing it now. I wouldn't be talking to you even.
Right.
You know, I would have missed out at the whole everything. And it's so to me now that I can just fully commit and trust to God, every day just feels so joyful. And just to do this with you, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a big old piece of fruit just dripping in me. Like people can come and drink and feed and understand and know that nobody's better than nobody. Man. Nobody's better than nobody. If you can walk humbly, people think that you can't love yourself if you're humble, man. That doesn't mean you're not nothing. Right. You know what I'm saying? Just know you're not better than nobody. You know what I mean? Nobody's better than nobody. So once I could do that, I just knew that, man, every day was a joy. And my salvation, you feel me? My salvation was the main thing, the whole thing that I didn't know. My joy and salvation. So I keep my joy on my face in front of my kids, bro. And, you know, I'm free, bro. I'm free, you know, and it looks messed up. I know it does, because some people look at it as cocky. I don't fear nothing else, or just like it has noise up in here, but it's really just fear. I'm fearless, man. I fear God, and that's it. And that's it, man.
My bad. And honestly, whenever you brought that up, for me, whenever people, because I brought that up in my own life, you know what I mean? And people sometimes think you're like, how do you think that way? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not being fearful. And what I realize is, for me, unless that person takes the time to get to know me and understand me in order to understand that question that they're asking, then they're the ones that are really kind of falling short.
There's something that they have to work on, and they're not working on themselves. And there's a lot of people that are on the cusp of their spirituality and just starting to walk with God. They thought the enemy gets them right there, because it's like, okay, it's up to you to save this person, and they're like, they start feeling like that.
Right.
It's not like that. God's not, any fight that you think that you have to do most of the time, it's not your battle.
Right.
I'm talking about 90% of the time, it's not your battle. Down to your child. Yeah. Like you said, Elijah's flying down. Hey man, I told you, so he had to run the marathon. Yeah. He had to run the marathon on the slide. Exactly. I told him, he's gonna have to bust his collarbone. Yeah. And that's how he learned. Yeah. But if I'd have just been freaking out the whole time until you learn that, I've been, so.
Man, tell you what, man, this, I just want to say thank you. All right, before I ask you this last question.
For sure. No, you're welcome, bro. I'm glad we did it. I'm sure it's started something major anyway.
It's not going to stop here.
Yeah, it's next level. It's next level.
I'm excited for the future.
I'm glad we part, bro.
Man, look. Y'all just stay tuned, right?
Oh, yeah.
But let me ask you, last question, right?
Yeah.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be? And what would your superhero name be?
I'm ridiculous, bro. I always am, bro.
Okay.
But
I'm ready to write.
The first thing comes to my heart, I'd be Jesus, bro.
If you could have any,
think about it, man.
Think
about it. He got all types of powers, bro.
Oh man, I love that.
So if he could heal and cast out demons,
Jesus powers. Man, yes.
Look, this is the main one.
That's
when he knew that Judas was gonna turn on him and he stayed put, but he went and prayed on it. Yeah. Came back to see if anything changed. No, came back at people sleeping on him. Yeah. Came back. He didn't flee, bro.
Said do what you came to do.
He didn't flee, bro. Knowing his crucifixion is coming. Yeah. Something is coming.
That's a superpower.
Bro, come on. He stayed put. And looked his enemy in the face, Judas, and was like, hey, bro.
Every one of us would have dipped off.
Everybody, man.
Wow, that's crazy. I love that answer, bro. I love that answer.
The homie would have said fly.
I would have said something like that too.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad.
You know what? My name would have been Fly.
Oh,
but nah,
man.
Bro. Nah, for sure, bro.
Would you call yourself Jesus?
Man.
Or would you? Is it Jesus?
I don't know about it. Whatever, man.
Nah,
like, that was next level. When I read the story of him, that's the ultimate one. That's the ultimate superhero to me. And like I said, there's a lot of people believe, a lot of people that don't. Yeah. I tell them, that's the #1 best-selling book in history, man. That's a great story, man. If it's made up, come on, man. Even if it is, which of course I do. It's our heritage.
Still change your life.
Come on, man. Yeah. Come on, man. What movies that you watch that are all actors that done change your life? The movie done changed your life.
Right? I'll tell you what, I ain't gonna get into it because we'll keep going, but
tell them it's part 2.
Hey, for real. And we're gonna get some kind of podcast going. Here's a studio here. Yeah, we're gonna put all those details in the description, the captions that we post on social media. So, man, well, hey, for everybody watching, I hope, and we always hope with every one of these interviews that at the very least, at least one person is blessed, at least one person is impacted by these interviews, by the sit downs that we do with these fathers, and especially by your words of wisdom today. So, man, I need to start saying these 2 people because I'm the one person at the very least. You know what I'm saying? I'm always that one person. So I want to say at least 2 people, at least one person other than me, because this was great, brother. So
yeah, man, it was. Thank you, man. And yeah, like I said, too, be able to speak that and get that off, man. You know, we got to hear it ourselves too. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, nobody's perfect. We fall short. I fall short. You fall short.
Right.
So this really ain't even me trying to preach to nobody either, bro. I'm just trying to, confirm myself that I'm still doing the right thing and hear myself speak. It says in scripture, bro, our tongue, you can either use it for good or bad. Yeah. You can speak stuff into existence. So that's what I'm speaking now, speaking good. And it's always been in me, but you know, everything around is kind of like, I used to worry about what people say and stuff, and not anymore. You know, and now it's just like, this is what I believe, this is how I do. There's too much evidence in my life that God has done too much. So now it's time to give all glory to him at this moment. So we just keep doing that, man. Who knows what he'll do? You know what I mean? Next level, man. I appreciate everything, dog. Like, I appreciate you coming out. I mean, coming here, you know, instead of going over there, just making everything happen and just us sacrificing certain things in our life to make it happen because we know what's God's trying to do. So I appreciate you, man. Yeah. Anybody, man, y'all need any type of guidance, I know this channel is gonna go places, man. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow this movement, because there's still things to come. And I know, man, that this channel will do great things, bro. And like I said, it's gonna touch one person, like you said. We'll be happy, right? That's next level.
Hey, man.
Yeah, it's a good one. Absolutely, man.
Yes, this is great. Yeah. All right, as always, thank you guys for being here. Dude, that was, man.